And we are live.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of. Yeah, we're live.
Yeah, we are live.
Hello, everybody. And we are live. Oh, my phone is making
your
sound.
phone's also live. You should make your phone not live.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Cryptid Files. Today we're taking a step back from cryptids, and we're going to go over Halloween and all its wonderful glory, where it comes from, and all the different ways people celebrate it. While Charlie is over here fiddling around with the
I'm just clicking on things.
the TV thing.
Yep. Clicking on, click. You know how it goes. But
So let's just start and talk about Halloween, dude. What's your favorite part of Halloween?
My favorite part of Halloween is, well, I like decorating my parents' house because I like to put up all kinds of spooky shit. So
yeah,
we do we'll do like fake blood on the windows, and then drink a bunch of beer outside and yell at kids when they come over, and so. But yeah, no, I don't know. I just overall love the holiday. I think it's a great time. People get to dress up in costumes. I get to do a costume every year, even though I don't always dress up. But so yeah, it's a good time. Like Halloween.
I like dressing up. I like getting in the character and playing somebody else for a whole night or two, depending on how many parties and things I end up at. As a kid, we used to dress up a lot and really do some crazy shit with the house.
Yeah.
I remember for years we used to take the front half of our garage and move everything out of the way and hang up sheets and make a little baby haunted house for people when they would come trick or treating.
Yeah.
So when I was too old to trick or treat, I would dress up with my parents and we would play different parts and scare kids in the yard and stuff.
What is
that
too
was a
old
lot
for
of fun.
trick or treating too?
What's
the cutoff?
I feel like anytime after 17, it's weird.
That is true. Once you're an adult, it's totally weird.
A high school senior coming up to your door asking for candy, you do it, more power to you, man.
I'll give you candy.
I will.
Candy. Yeah, I'll give you candy.
But it does feel a little weird.
Yeah. No, once you're able to go to jail, adult jail, maybe you should,
Maybe you should stop.
Yeah, maybe you start handing out.
But then again,
pass the torch.
It's better than doing meth on the side of the street somewhere,
It's
being at Wawa at 2 a.m.
Yeah. No, it's much better to be handing out the candy at that age.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I remember one Halloween, my best Halloween ever with dressing up and just being part of the decorations. I dressed up. I made this costume of a crow priest thing, this pagan crow worshiper priest shaman guy, right? And I sat on my front stoop with the bowl of candy in my lap and just slumped so I looked like a dummy. And kids would walk up and I had a rule: if you were a child, I wouldn't scare you. Yeah. I would just be look at you and be oh. If you were anybody high school age, if you were 14 or up, I would make you pee yourself. So I would one of the things I would do is they'd be reaching in and I would peck them with the mask and they'd be like, "What the fuck?" And I would yell. Or one time I just stood up in front of one kid. I grabbed one kid by the shirt.
Yeah.
And then my spoils of that were anytime they dropped candy, I just put it in another bowl for myself.
Oh, nice.
So I made out like a bandit.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
It was a good time. It was a good time. It was a good year.
No, yeah, we used to decorate the house a lot. Well, I haven't done too much this year, but we would go all out. Me and my dad, we spent a ridiculous amount of money on Halloween decorations because there's this dude that was running a haunted house that was selling all this stuff.
Yo!
And so
I just wanted to have a haunted house.
Yeah, we spent a couple $100 on that giant dinosaur.
Yes! Dude, I love that thing.
There's a dinosaur.
You guys still have the giant dinosaur?
Yeah, it's on my parents' porch still.
I want that thing.
Yeah, it's sitting on the porch. We have this 6-foot dinosaur with wings sitting on my parents' porch right now. And we leave it up all year.
I love it.
It's not really a Halloween decoration, but we dress it up for sports events,
Fuck yeah.
So we put a Raiders jersey on it and all kinds of cool stuff. But
that's a scary costume.
It is horrifying, especially this year. Terrifying costume this year.
Yeah, you guys better beat the Chiefs on fucking Sunday.
We won't. But but no, yeah, we did that, and then I don't know, we get the cobwebs, put all the cobwebs up all over everything. Spooky lights, sound effects. We do the blood in the window. We have a big projector we set up where it has blood running down the window.
Hell yeah.
Screams, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I love it. And we make mannequins too.
Sick.
Yeah, we do Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, all the classics, and we set them all up around the yard. So
Hell yeah.
It gets pretty cool every year.
Nice. But yeah, Halloween's a big thing.
It is a big thing.
So let's talk about where it comes from.
Yeah.
So I kind of did notes backwards where I went from the earlier stages of where it comes from to the older stages.
Let's start at the beginning though. The Samhain.
The true first Halloween.
Yes.
Now Samhain is a Gaelic pagan holiday.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's still practiced some places today. I practice Halloween as well still. But Samhain it's the end of the harvest season and the beginning of the dark part of the year.
Yeah.
It's the first night of is it technically the equinox or the other
Yeah,
word?
So it's
Solstice?
actually
No.
it's based off the Celtic calendar.
Yes.
And the Celtic calendar was divided into two parts, right? They had a light side and a dark side. And the light side
the
was
force.
pretty much, the force. The light side was your spring and summer seasons, and
Right.
then the dark side was fall and winter seasons, kind of. Well, it's end of fall. It doesn't line up perfectly with our
Right.
situation with it. But anyways, they had it divided into two sections there, and Samhain was not only a celebration of the end of the harvest season, right? But it was also a celebration of the dead.
Right, because it's now you're going into the dead season.
Yeah, because they'd see, you have this wonderful summer and all this life and everything, and then during the fall is when they saw everything started dying.
Yep.
And that's how they, based their holiday on,
And they also believed that, so on Samhain specifically, that night, because the Celtic and Gaelic days, they believed, ran from sundown to sundown.
Yeah.
So Samhain is November 1st.
Sundown
Or sundown to sundown.
Sundown to sundown?
So yeah, so your day starts
at sundown.
When the sun ends. So Samhain takes place on November 1st by our calendar.
Yeah.
But technically, if you line that up with the Celtic and Gaelic calendar, it would be October 31st at evening.
Yeah.
So the minute the sun drops on Halloween, it's now Samhain. And it'll be Samhain until evening on November 1st.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even run into the nighttime. As soon as it's night, it's like, oh, Samhain's over.
Yeah.
That was it. But they believe that in that day, the boundary between our world and the spirit and demonic and fairy world
where the curtain was
is super thin. Yeah, so they would start to wander in.
Yeah.
So you would go to house to house and chant verses and songs at the house that were supposed to offer protections and stuff from these spirits. And in exchange, those people would give you food.
Yeah.
Thank you for blessing my house and protecting my house. Here's some bread, or here's some meat, or some cured bacon, or a chicken or something. And that's one of the earliest examples of where we think trick or treating came from. Because here they are singing, Take the Power Back by Rage Against the Machine, and then you hand them a taco. It's awesome.
Yeah. That's exactly how it happened. Actually.
And then one of the reasons, and then they also would dress up because they thought that dressing as these spirits would be disguises. So they wouldn't come after them. They were it was when in The Walking Dead when they colored themselves in zombie blood, so the zombies don't bite them. They're doing the same thing. They're dressing up as the dead and the monsters and the demons and the fairies, so that the other ones would just kind of walk past them as they're doing their thing. So that's one of the earliest examples of why we dress up for Halloween, which is pretty cool.
They also had one of the big things was they had fires. It was
yes.
They had bonfires a lot.
Yes.
Right? Which kind of ties into the whole jack-o'-lantern theme
going
on. But the elders, or not the elders, what are they called? The healers or the
shamans and priests.
Priests. They'd gather around these fires, right? And they'd look for answers for the gods and whatnot. But so there's no electricity back then, obviously.
Yeah, no.
Right?
Yeah.
No, they didn't have any electricity. So one of the things one animal that you would really never see would be a bat.
Yeah.
Right? But when they were all sitting around the fires, they would wind up seeing these bats late at night because the fires would attract insects, and there was light illuminating, so they would be the first time they'd see bats. So bats got this association with Halloween through that process right there, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's the one time a year you're what the
and
what's that?
It was because you would never see them.
Right.
There was no light outside. It's dark.
Yeah.
It's very dark all the time. But when they were having these bonfires in the late fall, they would see these bats that they've never seen before, and so it got this association with spirits and Halloween.
Hell yeah, that's cool. So. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah,
you'd think I would know, being a pagan, that I more about my own holidays. Another big thing that would happen too. Some of these groups that were going around caroling and blessing people would be led by a man dressed as I'm gonna butcher this because I am not Gaelic.
Yeah,
Lairban.
Lairban,
which is white horse. He would wear a horse's skull and a robe thing.
Yeah.
And those groups, if you didn't give them food, and thank them for them, they would curse your house.
Ah.
So if you were visited by Lairban, it was get the fine china. We gotta get this to we got to give these people gifts because if we don't, we are fucked for the next year. Like, and it's not
yeah.
like, oh no, we're gonna have a bad like season. Like, no, you are screwed until the next Samhain when he shows back up and is like, hey, remember me, bro?
Remember me?
I'm that horse guy that ruined your life. Like, give me some cheese.
Yeah.
So don't fuck with
Just
the
a
horse.
block of cheese is all it took.
Yeah.
And you failed.
And going off the fire thing too, they would carve turnips.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't use pumpkins.
No.
We used turnips way back then.
Yeah.
And they would carve them into lanterns and light little candles in them so they could see, but they would also carve those faces like we do in jack-o'-lanterns. They would make them as ugly as they could because that was supposed to scare away the evil. That was supposed to scare the fairies and the demons away.
This was all about scaring away evil spirits and and people don't understand when they think of fairies normally.
Oh yeah,
the
they are not Tinkerbell.
Yeah, no, we're not talking about Tinkerbell here. Fairies are absolutely there are good fairies, but there are the vast majority of fairies and legends are
dicks.
Terrifying.
They are dicks.
Yeah.
They steal your kids. They replace your kids with their own kids.
Yeah.
And then those kids eat you.
Yeah, and they have absolutely no form of empathy.
Yeah.
Or sympathy for anybody.
Absolutely
so
not.
Humans are just looked at as like a nuisance in the world. But they were looked at the time as also kind of the guardians of the afterlife in that sense too.
Right, because they were
guarding the in-between realms type of area.
Right.
So that's why people...
Well, they do a shit job if all these spirits are coming through.
Yeah. But no, that's why people would say, like, oh, in the woods they would find fairies because they were, like, places of, lack of human existence.
Right. Or they were, like, wells of spiritual energy.
Spiritual places, that's where the fairies would actually be.
Yeah, you'd find them in sacred groves or anywhere else where that like, veil is very thin between our world and the gods.
Walk away. Because they're not, they don't want you there, and you definitely don't want to be near them.
Yeah,
but
they're like. You ever played the old Harry Potter games?
Yes.
Remember the Nixes? Those fucking things that would screw your whole life up. That's what fairies are.
Yeah.
They're god awful little demon things.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah, they're not. Tinkerbell at her worst is a fairy at their best.
Yes.
All right. Goddamn little monsters.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I've got on Samhain.
Yeah, that's about all. So
as far as like the original Samhain, like modern Samhain now has become, unfortunately, it's been kind of bastardized into Halloween.
Also, I mean,
it still kind of holds that place where there's like a lot of it's like bonfires are a big part of it. You still do some level of gift giving to each other, which is supposed to bring good fortune through the year. But it's started to pivot away from the warding off evil and more into the preparing for the winter side of it, because like I know that when I celebrate, and I know like the way that I was taught to celebrate, it's a lot more just like you light a fire, you feast with your friends. It's kind of like it's like pagan Thanksgiving more than it is anything. And I don't know, man. It's kind of lost its spark. I mean, it's just like you burn some incense, you light a fire, you eat a cheeseburger, and you get drunk. Like
that's every holiday.
It's Labor Day with incense, you know.
That's every holiday though. Like when people are at Thanksgiving, they're normally not sitting there like, I'm so thankful for this holiday.
No, let's finish this turkey so we can beat each other up over a TV for Black Friday.
No, exactly. People are upset about sports and they're just there to eat food and eat dry bird for some reason. And
God, I hate turkey.
Yeah, but then, Christmas too. Like it's most families aren't celebrating the birth of Christ on Christmas. Normally they're just hanging out and opening presents.
This is true. And I've got my own gripes for Christmas, but we're gonna save that for the Christmas special.
Yeah, for the Christmas special. We'll have a whole.
Because I've got shit to get off my chest. Yeah. Christmas makes me angry.
We'll talk about.
And you're gonna have to sit tight and wait because it's a doozy.
Get ready for December.
Oh, mama! You want to see a white man get mad?
Yeah.
But that's a good segue into the Christian half of Halloween and where that really comes from. So now we're going to get into All Hallows Eve.
Yes, okay.
All right, so this is the next step past the Celts, because this is when Christianity came in and ruined everything like they were.
Can I start with a little bit of history?
Yeah, go for it, Charlie. You take it away.
Cool. I don't have any notes, by the way. This is all just stuff off my noggin from videos and from Wikipedia, trusted sources, of course. Yeah. But anyways, so in Catholicism, I guess, which is what kind of adapted into our like Halloween traditions, right? Sometime in the month of May, they had this holiday known as Old Saints' Day, right? And basically what they wanted to, which is a day where they would celebrate everybody that every known and unknown saint that achieved sainthood, right? But as Catholicism did with many holidays that were practiced in like pagan religions, they tried not to delete their holidays, but adapt them to Christianity so that people could still you can still have your tree inside, but we're gonna do it's gonna be about this now. But so basically they moved All Saints Day to it was November 1st.
Yep.
Is what they moved it to, and they wanted to do that so that it would kind of take over Samhain, and then eventually they made another holiday for All Saints Day, All Souls Day, Souls Day, and they made that November 2nd, right, and that celebrated everybody that passed away that was put into like purgatory.
Yep.
Right, so waiting for to either get to heaven, and what they would do on this day is they would you'd pray for somebody that passed away, and they got enough prayers, they
could make it into heaven.
They could make it into heaven, right? And they did this all in the same area so that it would take over Samhain in a sense,
right?
But yeah, that's my little brief history right
there.
And
then it became All Hallows Eve was the night before All Saints Day.
Yeah, well, because they changed All Saints Day to what was also known as All Hallows Day.
Yep.
Right?
All the hallowed.
Halloween was Hallows Eve.
Yep.
And then the Celtic word for
Scottish is even.
Is even, right? And so eventually just turned into Halloween.
Yep.
Right? Is what we have now.
Yeah.
But
so they would ring bells for the souls in purgatory on Hallows Eve, and as well as a lot of what happened on Hallows Eve is also what would happen on All Souls Day.
Yes.
This was just like you get a double whammy. It was on either side of Saints Day. So they would ring bells for the souls in purgatory, and town criers would also dress up in all black.
Yeah. And
ring handbells in town, which was another one of the suggested reasons why we dress up today.
Yeah.
Is because of that. Soul cakes.
Yes, which is a complete copy of pretty much what happened with the
Samhain, yeah.
with Samhain.
But these were given to poor kids. So little homeless children or poor children would run around, and they would come to your door and they would sing hymns and prayers for the dead in purgatory, and you would give them bread.
Yes.
Soul cakes is a lie. It's a bread. Yeah. It's a bun. You made a bun.
Yes.
And you gave it to this kid.
Gave him a bun. And
it was not a cake.
It was actually a day where they would respect people begging for food.
Yes.
Which back in this is the what is this like?
This is like the 16th and 15th century.
Yeah, and where the beggars were not treated very well, I guess. So during this time, they were treated with a little bit more respect and dignity.
If you get one day and you're not a piece of shit.
Where you're not complete garbage.
But yeah, those kids would also carry around lanterns made of turnips.
Yes.
So they could see.
Yes.
There's some accounts that say that they would help ward off evil spirits, but this was not really an evil spirit-centric holiday.
Yeah, comments on our swirly straws. It's like, yes, they're silly straws,
yes,
actually.
Silly straws.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they would carry these turnip lanterns so they could see while they're wandering around town getting bread. It's not a cake, and it makes me mad that they call them cakes because that's such a jip. If I come to your house, you're like, we're gonna have cake,
and you
hand me a piece of fucking Wonder Bread, I'm leaving. I'm gonna eat the bread, but I'm gonna leave.
I'm happy with sourdough. I like sourdough.
I love sourdough bread.
I'd be very
tell me we're having sourdough so I can get hyped up for that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be hyped up about cake and it's fucking Wonder Bread.
Yeah.
And at least better be like a Martin's potato roll or something.
Yeah.
But one of the things that did do though, some of the spirits that passed recently were believed that they would come back on All Hallows Eve.
Yeah.
And so people would wear costumes and disguises because if any of those spirits were mad at them, they would hide their identities so they didn't get attacked.
Yeah.
So that's where these costuming and all this kind of stuff came from. That's another reason why they think we dress up now. It's a callback to that because it's people hiding their identities. So in Samhain, you would hide your identity as an evil spirit to blend in.
Yeah.
In All Hallows Eve, you would hide your identity from the evil spirits, not the evil spirits, the angry spirits that are looking for you. So if you had robbed somebody and they died, or you might have killed the guy and never got caught, or whatever, you ran him over with your horse, he might be coming back to kick your ass.
Yeah.
So you're gonna put on a little domino mask and paint your mouth and wear a robe so that he doesn't know it's you. He's gonna, oh, you seem cool. Okay, he's gonna go on and keep looking for that guy that ran him over with a cart. So that's another one of the reasons I think we dress up.
You know what's real interesting too? It's just, I mean, we're gonna touch on this more, I'm sure, but the fact that
we're doing a lot of touching.
Yeah, there were a lot of touching here. We're getting real handsy. No, I'm just kidding. The fact that this like tradition is nearly like pre-Roman Empire, and the fact that it's carried on all the way up to like present day, that we still like celebrate some form of this is pretty amazing.
Yeah,
because a lot of things did not make it that far.
Oh, absolutely
world,
not. Yeah,
a lot of traditions don't carry that much weight.
Yeah, and it's still relatively close to the original.
Yeah, no, it is
in a lot of the theming.
Yeah, and the cool. way that we celebrate, and the way that's what we're talking about with the relations of everything. Too,
yeah, So another thing too that was believed that would happen on Hallows Eve is that dead specifically buried in churchyards. So not in graveyards, in the woods, not at war sites, but dead that were buried on church grounds were said to rise and have a party when everyone was asleep. Yeah, and they were like celebrating that like. They were buried on hallowed ground. They're going to get to go to heaven, like all this kind of stuff. So they were having this big party. Yeah. So people would then enact that, and they would dress up as corpses and throw big elaborate parties. Yeah. Because they were doing it was called the dance macabre. Yeah. So they would have their own like dance macabre parties where they're all dressed up as like nobility, but like with blood all over them or like a stake coming out of them or whatever. Yeah. And that's another one of the suggested origins of where like dressing up specifically as dead things, like our obsession with skeletons and zombies and everything that comes with Halloween. And those are like the first recorded Halloween parties. Yeah. Like they're not doing anything in this party for worship reasons. They're not doing anything for warding off spirits. They're just going like, hey, the dead can do it. We can too. Let's be like them. So they just get drunk and rowdy and eat and drink and dance and cover themselves in pig blood and go crazy. Yeah. And I mean, the Halloween party in a sense does go all the way back to like Samhain though too. Sure. Like people were. You were still feasting. It was a night of gathering, sure. like the priests and we were talking about before, like the priests and everybody would also like gather all around a bonfire and they would hang out and they would look at the fire for right answers from the god. They'd probably be doing some trippy stuff. Oh my god, yeah, they're licking peyote and they were sucking frogs and all these other things to try and see things. It was a wild night for them too. But that's the thing though, that was still under like a religious context. Yeah, no, definitely. They're gathering and all this stuff, but it is like you said, they're looking in the fire for answers. This is like the first time that they're just partying for the sake of partying for this holiday, which is honestly that's pretty cool. Like 16th century dance party. Yeah, they probably got wild. I'm sure. It took 2 hours to get all those underwear off. Yeah. No one. Yeah. So that is like that's all Hallows Eve, man. The Catholics taking things, making it their own version, like they do with everything. Yeah. And but for once, they kind of did it kind of right. I'll give them that much. No, definitely. No, it's a good holiday. The fact that they made it to around the same time frame, I know they were trying to erase it. Yeah. In a sense, as they were, but the fact that it almost boosted the tradition though. True, yeah, because it kind of brought it back. Yeah, it would have been erased like a lot of the other, pagan traditions that got erased throughout the years, if not for the fact that the Catholic Church was like, we'll let this one tag along. Yeah, we'll let this one slide. And the leniency of the Catholic Church is not a real, it's not a very lenient thing. Absolutely not. Especially through the years. Absolutely not. But, so let's just recap some of the symbolism. So like bats come into Halloween because like you said, when they would do these big bonfires during Samhain, that's the not first, but one of the most prevalent times a year that all these Celts would see bats. You don't normally see, like you said, you don't normally see bats. You're not hanging out in barns with lights on and stuff and seeing them swoop down at you. Like you just see them when they're eating bugs coming out of the fire and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Jack-o'-lanterns come from the lanterns that they would make when they were walking around town to scare off evil spirits. Candy comes from soul cakes, which is bread. Yeah. and the food that was handed to the beggars and the poor and the people coming to bless your house and protect you. Yeah. Costumes come from disguising yourself, come from trying to blend in with the evil spirits. And also for
All Saints Day, they also dressed up
as saints. Yes,
that was a big part of it. So they would dress up as people that they considered to reach sainthood. So it's not just for like the saints that we like know of, like Saint Patrick or Saint Peter. It's also for unknown saints. So people that you believe to reach sainthood, which I don't know much about in Catholicism, but I think it's anybody that's as a qualified good person of the sense that did so much for the benefit of whatever is considered a saint. So
he washed my windows.
Yeah, he washed my windows. Yeah, so whoever qualified for sainthood, that's who they would celebrate.
Right.
And that's how that's.
It's another costume.
Yeah, there was a lot of dressing up.
Yeah.
This entire holiday, no matter which religious view was celebrating it, they were all getting into costume and rolling around. Even the idea of dressing up as scary things too.
That lines up with the Gaelic with Samhain scaring off the evil, or blending in with evil spirits, scaring off the evil spirits.
For the Catholic side of things, when they started doing that was almost a question. So the witch,
yes,
right, the witch. That's a perfect place to start. It was almost a knock on women at the time when the Catholics started dressing up as witches for Halloween, right? Because they were always depicted as women, and they were always depicted with tools that they thought was like women's work. So
a broom, a cauldron.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's why our witches now they're ugly. We think of like ugly, like haggish looking, like
green skin, warty
noses with cauldrons, because that was the main cooking device
at
the time.
And a broom.
And then they were using, because that was like, the idea, gender roles in the,
the 15th century,
15th
pretty defined.
Pretty defined. So, but that's where that whole idea came from.
Oh.
But it's carried over all the way into like modern day society where, we have our idea of the witch now.
Yeah. Huh.
And,
that's pretty cool.
And from that small thing, we've also executed people in the United States.
Yeah, they're a witch
because
they're made of wood and they're lighter than ducks.
Well, no, most witches that were actually killed in like Salem
weren't actually made of wood.
Yeah, they were not made of wood. But they were all women. It was
there were very few men.
There was very few men witches.
I'm looking at you guys, Court.
Yeah, because of that,
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's weird to think about how these things like
and like the skeletons and the zombie obsession comes from that dance macabre.
Yeah,
which is weird because that's like they're celebrating them, but now it's like ooh scary things, spooky scary skeletons. I mean, ghosts just kind of lines up with the whole spirit thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why we got werewolves all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I don't know where that lined up with Halloween, but sometime down the line we're like, this is cool. Let's just do that.
Well, actually,
we had werewolves, like they believed in that, but they were like actually afraid of them. So
yeah, I think a lot of, I don't know if werewolves came in at that time, but the dressing up as horror movie characters thing started in like
I would assume after the movies came out.
Yeah, well,
because I don't think they were dressing up as horror movie characters before TV.
No, but it's because everybody used to dress up as like devils or demons until things like Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
And like
the advent of the horror
Nightmare
movie.
on Elm Street and things like that came out.
I mean, I'm sure that they were dressing up as like Frankenstein and all that stuff when like the black and white movies were coming out. Like I don't think that just like the John Carpenter movies started dressing up as horror movies.
There was a scary like a horror movie craze that happened though, and so when people started,
I'm with you now.
Yeah, when people started incorporating that into their dressing up like demons and devils thing, it like I don't know, it almost evolved the holiday.
Right. Yeah. So then that's when we got to modern Halloween.
Yeah.
Where it was like, now we got like a horror genre.
Yeah.
Let's line this up because it's already talking about ghosts and ghouls and shit.
So people completely stopped dressing up like saints and angels.
Yeah, and then we're like, let's be spooky dookies.
Yeah, let's be spooky. Because it's much cooler to be something scary. That's the joy of Halloween too. It's much cooler and much more fun to dress up as something scary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Than to dress up as
a donkey.
Yeah, as a donkey. Yeah. Or a duck.
Or Saint Anthony.
Even though Judy makes a really good duck.
She's adorable.
Yeah, she's a great duck. But
yeah, I think okay. So that's pretty much what we got on the history of Halloween. Did you do any Halloween peripheral research, or am I going to be telling you about new shit?
I did a little. I can talk about trick or treating.
Okay.
All right, I can talk about trick or treating a little bit.
Okay.
So
you do that while I pull something up because I'm gonna butcher this word and I want Google Translate to say it.
All right. So trick or treating actually started. I believe it was like England in like the 1700s area, where kids would go around, right, and pull pranks on people on Hallows Eve.
Yeah.
And it eventually became a custom to give kids treats instead of them pulling a prank on you. And they would normally be harmless pranks. Like, putting soap on windows or, slight damage to property, graffiti, and stuff like that. But it became a custom to just, give kids treats.
So that they wouldn't fuck with you.
Which is where the term trick or treat came from. Which
Oh!
tied entirely back into... So that's also where, like, the idea of mischief night happened.
Okay.
So,
you didn't give me a candy last year, so I'm going to put eggs in your mailbox.
Pretty much, yeah.
And human poop on a plate on your car.
Yeah, so it started off like people who wouldn't give... So, going back to Halloween, you
didn't feed the horse lady.
Yeah, you didn't
feed
the
got bad
horse
luck.
person, you got bad luck. The people that wouldn't give treats to the kids wound up getting pranked the next year. And so it started a whole, a whole craze with the whole idea of trick or treat. So kids just started coming up to people's doors and saying, trick or treat, and they got the treat, hopefully. Yeah. Otherwise, they would get the trick.
Nice. The first holiday that's like a Halloween periphery is a Hindu holiday called...
Pitru Paksha.
Okay.
And that is a 16-day festival that honors the dead. And they just kind of pay homage through like food offerings and stuff.
Yeah.
And it kind of falls under the same time frame as Halloween and Samhain and everything else that's celebrated. The only thing that's controversial about
Pitru Paksha
is that it falls on Diwali as well. And they have this kind of like, which one do we celebrate? Should we celebrate the both? Should we celebrate one or the other? So it's like, it's a little thing in the Hindu religion. But a lot of people still celebrate
Pitru Paksha
to this day.
Which is like a celebration of the dead?
Yeah, it's just like a dead holiday.
Does it fall on the same...
Like I said, the 16 days fall over Halloween.
Okay.
It's end of October into beginning of
November. A lot of cultures
November.
There's so many cultures that have something celebrating the dead in the fall time because of
it probably all comes with all that.
Them. It's just when people look outside and say, wow, everything's dying. Yeah. The fruit is falling off the trees and it's no longer edible. Things aren't growing anymore. Yep. And they're like, wow, this is a celebration of, this is death. This is what death is. So they associate that with not only, the death of the harvest, but also the death of family.
The death of life.
The death of life.
All right, so the next, Halloween peripheral holiday we got is, of course, the most famous one, I think, is Dia de Muertos.
Yes.
The Mexican Death Day holiday.
Yeah.
And this one is the closest to, Halloween in terms of, how they celebrate. So that one it's another multi-day festival. And it's about paying respects and remembering those dead.
Yeah.
But friends give gifts to each other. You make skulls out of sugar. And everyone knows the sugar skulls. It's in every Mexican restaurant and everywhere all over the place. That is the most iconic Dia de los Muertos kind of symbolism. One of the things too that they do that I actually didn't know about this, and when I was reading about this, I thought this was the greatest thing in the world. You would actually write epitaphs for your still living friends.
I didn't know.
As a joke. So I would write if you died today, this is what I would say about you. But it's also full of innuendo and inside jokes and all that kind of stuff because it's meant to make light about death because it's the way that they celebrate.
A eulogy type of thing?
Yeah. A eulogy epitaph, what they would write on your gravestone, what you would do at your funeral, because it's supposed to make light of death because it's not a mourning holiday. It's you're on the other side. There's damn it. You're still with us.
Yeah,
They're still here. They still love us.
Yeah.
And that's how they kind of do it. They party, they dance, they give gifts, they eat cookies. So that's kind of cool. I think that's a really, really cool way of doing that.
Yeah, especially here in the U.S. That's the most secondly celebrated version of Halloween, I think.
Yes.
You know, like when I was in San Diego, there was a lot of people that celebrated like Day of the Dead, right? But very cool things. Halloween's great.
So I got another one here. This one is a Taoist and Buddhist holiday. They both celebrate it. It's called the Ghost Festival. I'm going to butcher this. This is the Taoist word for it.
Samhain.
And then the Buddhist word for it is...
Pan.
Okay, so this is a multi-day festival as well.
Can you play it again?
Pan.
I don't know why she says it like that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
But this is a multi-day festival as well. And in this one, ghosts and spirits come to Earth to visit the living.
Yeah.
So this is not a remembrance festival. It's literally like, hey, they're back. Let's say hi to them. Like, they're coming to us. So rituals are performed to absolve the suffering of those recently deceased. Yeah. So anyone that died tragically or sadly or whatever, they do prayers and give offerings to try and help them feel better in the afterlife and find peace.
Yeah.
And then paper boats and lanterns are released on rivers to help guide them through Earth and back to the afterlife after they come to visit. So if they're lost or still here, this is a festival to kind of help them, like kind of like nudge them to the door, like, come on, go home, go back where you came from, you know.
Yeah.
Time to go to heaven.
I know so Buddhism, they have like a whole bunch of different like versions of Buddhism throughout. Like there's not like just one. Like there's Zen Buddhism, Chan Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, fucking, you know, they're all over the place. But I remember the Chan Buddha is like a Chinese like version of Buddhism. Right. They had this idea of hungry ghosts they would talk about a lot, and it was ghosts that have a very large stomach, but a mouth the size of like a pinhole.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and so they would make offerings to
their poor husband.
Yeah, well, they would make offerings to like the hungry ghosts, right, to help them satisfy their never-ending hunger. But yeah, you got more?
Oh, I got more. We got more. This is another one that I'm gonna absolutely butcher. So I'm gonna type this one into Google Translate. Charlie, entertain our guests.
Let's talk about the government. No, right. Yeah, so there's two things I don't understand. The windows, can you see through them? Can you move through them? I just don't get it. You know, what are they made of?
All right, here we go. I got it ready.
Do they belong here? No,
all right, so do they belong here? So this next holiday is a Filipino holiday.
Okay.
Called...
Pangangaluluwa.
Yeah, you see why I didn't try to say that.
Nice.
I'm going to run that back one more time. This is a Filipino holiday called...
Pangangaluluwa.
Can you spell that, please?
Pangangaluluwa.
Okay, perfect. Now everybody can look it up themselves.
Yeah. Oh my God, my phone is on the floor. But yeah, so that actually translates to spirituality.
Oh wow.
And this is a holiday celebrated in the Philippines, and much like a lot of these other Halloween-esque holidays, the door connecting the land of the living and the dead is opened.
Yeah.
So, food and allowing the recently deceased, so anybody that died in that past year, to come through. So they leave food out on tables. Like they'll set a table with extra seats and extra place settings out for these spirits to come and join them at dinner.
Yeah.
You'll just kind of like Samhain and All Hallows Eve, people will go and sing in front of people's houses, like almost go caroling for presents. Yeah. And these presents they bring back, then they're supposed to be offerings to the dead.
Yeah.
But then obviously they don't take them with them, so they keep them. But yeah, they'll go around, and it's another like form of trick or treating. They come out to your house, they sing a song about the deceased. You give them a necklace, and they're like, sweet, and they bring it home, and then you take the spiritual version back with you, go to heaven with this, and then they get to keep.
It's crazy how like the Philippines too, like being so far away from like Celtic beliefs and from like we were talking about like Hindu,
right,
and like all these different things are all kind of celebrating in similar ways. You know?
Yeah, it's this is one of those holidays that like everyone celebrates almost the same way.
Yeah, it's because I feel like everybody just looks at fall and they're like, oh, things are dying. How do we communicate with the dead? And everybody on the planet was like, food. Yeah. It's a good thing to do. Let's give them food. You know.
Well, I forget who said it, but it's like they say like food is the universal language.
It is, yeah.
Everybody can communicate through food. We don't need to be able to speak to each other, but you can cook for me, and I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're doing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a pretty cool thing. Even the spirits get it.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting to see how everything how not different we are.
It's true.
How that we have thought the same ways throughout the entire globe. At the same time periods, we were all like, yeah. How do we explain things dying? Or how do we connect with people dying? Like, we don't know. And we all figured, we all
sing songs, light fires, and eat.
Yes, sing songs, light fires, eat, give kids candy.
Pretty much, but not with vans.
Yes.
No vans. No vans are used in Halloween.
Can't do that. Can't do that.
So this next one, we have 2 left. This one is a Haitian holiday. It's called Fet Gede, which it translates to Festival of Sacred Dead.
Okay.
So this is a Haitian celebration honoring the dead, like with most things. This is a voodoo holiday.
Yeah.
And so in this one, you're not celebrating or revering the dead. You're bargaining with the dead. So they make offerings to the dead in exchange for good fortune throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So it's like almost like, and for protection. So you kind of like are paying the spirits to hang out with you.
Yeah.
And then they do a huge celebration, almost like Mardi Gras. They dress up in very Day of the Dead-esque, but like voodoo tinged versions. They're painting the skulls in their face and all that kind of stuff. But then they just go wild. They're fucking high. They're drunk. They're eating. They're fucking naked in the streets. They're just like going at it and having a time. They are partying. Like they've embraced
the entire party side.
100%. This is like the wild. This is the wildest Halloween. Like I said, this is Mardi Gras of Halloween. This version of this holiday. This is just like super duper voodoo party. They're literally like, hey, Dad, have this stuff. Hang out with us. Now we're gonna party. Let's go. You know what I mean? You can't throw beads and see dead boobies, but you can dance around and eat candy and smoke a bunch of weed and have a great time.
Yeah.
I can't ever read French, so we're gonna let Google Translate do this one for me as well. This one is called
Le Toussaint.
I could have said that.
Oh yeah? Prove it. Say it right
No,
now.
I'm not going to now.
So, which is the French word for All Saints Day. They still practice this today. And this one is a commemoration of the dead.
Yeah.
So this one is not as much a celebration as it is a remembrance holiday.
A memorial holiday.
Yes. So this is you decorate graves with flowers and candles and wreaths and stuff like that. You just kind of you go visit you visit the graves of your loved ones, and it's also like a family reunion holiday.
Yeah.
So you would you gather and you see family that you haven't all year, and just kind of like you kind of work out fights and any issues that you've had through the year to kind of
the fragility of life.
You kind of like rebuild the family ties, because it's like, hey, listen, like we lost grandma. Let's stop doing this. You know what I mean? Like,
let's put this behind us.
Exactly. So it's like almost like it's like a rekindle of life, as well as like celebrating and remembering the dead kind of holiday.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. That's a sweet way to do it.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
It needs more candy, but I think it's
it
cool.
needs more candy, obviously.
But
the French take the candy out of it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, true. Nobody goes to French for the people. Yeah, but yeah.
I'm telling the internet you said that. No, I'm just kidding.
The internet knows I said that. But yeah, that's all I got about Halloween. I think we have rambled on long enough.
I think we have.
Thank you all for sticking around.
Yes.
You've made it through talking about Halloween. We went through the history of it all, which was sick. You've all been great being active in the chat. Thank you all so much. We are going to catch you guys next week with another episode about cryptids. And we're going to get back on track with the Cryptid Files. And we will be sticking to cryptids until December when we do a Christmas episode. Yeah. But until then, So we'll see you guys next week, same time. Make sure you follow if you haven't already. Check us out on Instagram, DNR Paranormal, where you'll see our ghost adventure stuff as well. And we'll see you guys in a week. Peace out, everybody.